Hey everybody, this is John. You're watching The Real Man Rom-Com Review. In this video, I'm going to be giving you my top 3 movies from the Hallmark and Great American Family movies for the weekend of 12th through the 14th. Now, my number 3 movie this week was Christmas at the Golden Dragon, which aired Sunday on the 14th of November on the Hallmark Channel. Now, Romy, who lives in New York and works for an ad agency, she has a boyfriend, Blake, and Blake wants Romy to come home to Vermont to meet the family for Christmas. But Romy can't go because Romy has to go back to the family restaurant, the Golden Dragon, which is in Wichita, Kansas, because, well, it's open on Christmas, we got to sing fa ra 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 ra. Anyway, she has never had a real Christmas, because the restaurant's open. And the reason, the restaurant's open is it's there to serve people who have to work or don't have family or whatever. Or bumpuses eat the turkey. Anyway, Romy's brother, Rick, works as a server at the family restaurant. Now, a college dropout, Rick's parents feel that he's floundering at the restaurant. And Rick is also an aspiring chef, but he won't tell his father of his passion for cooking. Now, Rick's high school ex, Sadie, is home from UCLA. And then there's Jane, who is the recent widow of the local college basketball coach. And she's a regular at the Dragon, and she's given up a career as an architect to raise a family. And Jane's daughter, Veronica, is a CFO and a workaholic who lives off the takeout at the Dragon. And Veronica is also trying to have babies in vitro, which has failed 4 times. And then we have Nate, who's a Dragon regular, and he's going through a divorce, and he's got 2 daughters, and he's spending Christmas with his 2 daughters, and he's just struggling with being a single parent. He takes them everywhere, but the girls want more than just dad spending money on them. And then there's Miguel, who's the delivery guy at the Dragon. He's applying for colleges and needs to get financial aid to make it all work. Okay, so now that we have all the major players in place, I can tell you that this movie is a play on movies like Love Actually, Valentine's Day, and New Year's Day. We get this whole multiple storyline thing with characters that intersect with each other. Anyway, look, it would take me an hour to go through all the ins and outs of this movie, so I'll try to keep it short by just kind of saying this. Look, Romy and Michelle. That was a good movie, Romy and Michelle. Anyway, Romy and Rick's parents are selling the Dragon, and Christmas Eve is going to be their final night. Now, Romy's allowed to go with Blake to Vermont to have her first real Christmas. But the problem is that when Romy gets there, she thinks Christmas is like a Hallmark movie where everyone does Christmassy things like build snowmen and sing Christmas carols and period costume and make gingerbread houses. And so when Romy figures out that the family is closing the Dragon, she and Blake head back to Kansas. Now, Rick has some growing up to do. We know that from what we learned already about him. And he has a date with Sadie, and he misses the date because Dad needs him to work at the restaurant. And he doesn't stand up to Dad and say, "Dad, I gotta go." Anyway, so Veronica and Jane, they got their issues too. Veronica's lonely Jane's lonely after her husband passed, and she wants to have a closer relationship with Veronica, but Veronica works too much and harbors real resentment towards her dad, who was gone all the time when she was a kid because he was a Division I basketball coach. And Miguel interviews with Veronica for a scholarship that her company gives, but Veronica doesn't see much on his resume that makes him stand out, until Veronica then, over the course of the movie, figures out that Miguel volunteers in a lot of other ways that you don't put on a resume, and has a change of heart and gives him another chance. Now, Nate and Veronica meet over the course of the movie, and we see this new relationship form, which is really going to provide a solution to each other's personal struggles, where Veronica would have a family through Nate's girls, and Nate would have a partner to help him raise the kids. Well, anyway, look, I like this movie overall, and I don't think I've ever seen this type of story in a Hallmark movie before, so this is a fresh storyline. And while we didn't have any great cue card moments, backstage kisses, things like that. This movie delivered a solid story about how a community can be more about a family than your own family can be. So I put this on my put this solidly on my worth a watch category. My number 2 movie this week was A Merry Christmas Wish, which aired Saturday, November the 12th on Great American Family. Now, Janie is a marketing exec in New York, and she's heading off to Woodland Falls, which is like a few hours away, to deal with her late uncle's farm before heading off to LA with her boyfriend, Charles. Now, getting into town, she meets with the attorney, and Janie learns that her uncle has actually left her the farm, along with a request to have the Winter Wonderland there one more time at the farm before she decides to sell it. Now, when she gets to the farm, Janie finds Dylan, who is the older brother of her childhood bestie, Nicole. And Dylan works at the farm and stays at the cottage. And Dylan loves the idea of having a winter wonderland, which we find out is basically this 3-day market. So when Janie tells Charles that she's going to be staying in town to do the winter wonderland, Charles takes his little ball and he goes back and goes off to LA, telling her that when she comes to her senses, she can join him. I mean, what a bonehead this guy is, okay? Anyway, so after clearing out the barn, Janie offers Earl, who runs a tree lot outside of town, space at the Winter Wonderland for the cost of a personal tree. Dylan and Janie decorate the tree together, and Janie tells Dylan that, hey, I'm really kind of starting to dig this farm life. I mean, hey, especially when she walks outside and she sees, Dylan there chopping wood. Not only did she like it, but my wife liked it too. Anyway, so now Earl's wife makes honey, and Janie tastes it and loves it and suggests that she sells it at the Winter Wonderland. And Dylan takes Janie up to the upper level of the barn where he has decorated it with lights, and they have a dance, and they almost do the smoochy, but, it doesn't work out. Anyway, so Janie helps little Gracie make friendship cookies to be sold at the Winter Wonderland to raise money for school. And the more time Janie spends around the farm and in Woodland Falls, the more she feels that this is the place that she's supposed to be. But she's torn because she has a life, a career, and a losery man back in New York City. So Winter Wonderland Day 1 comes, and poor old the honey sales aren't going very well, so Janie finds some crackers and gives them out, and puts some stuff on it and has the people sample it, and everything's all great, and sales go off. Now later that day, Nicole is out talking with Dylan, and he tells Dylan, hey, there's never been a Janie before in your life. So there's 2 days left before Janie leaves. Does she want them to be the last 2 days that he spends with her? Anyway, Janie gets back to the house that finds that Charles evidently didn't go to LA but decided to come out to New York City, and he's got an offer on the farm. And it's an overpriced offer. Okay, no problem. Everybody's getting overpriced these days. Anyway, so Janie isn't sure that she really wants to sell. Well, day 2 of Winter Wonderland comes, and Janie and Dylan sit down, and Dylan's shown the offer, and he's crushed because they're going to convert the farm into condos. And Dylan asks her, well, I thought your time here had changed you. Disappointed, he just tells her, look, just going back to New York, see you later. So Janie signs the agreement and leaves town, and the attorney tells her, listen, I can hold this until January 1st. And Janie says, no, send it off. Well, back in New York City, back with Charles, Janie starts to miss the farm life, leading her to have seller's remorse. Her feelings are just justified when she discovers that her firm is trying to market energy drinks to kids. Now, back at Woodland Falls, Dylan runs into the lawyer who's about to drop the contract in the mail, and he tells him that he hopes that Janie doesn't come to regret her decision. Well, good old Janie has realized that she's made a mistake about the farm as well as Charles. Thank God that finally happened because he was illusory. Anyway, She races back to Woodland Farms where she's pulled over by Deputy Nicole, who gives her a police escort to Winter Wonderland. Now, at the end of Winter Wonderland comes, and Dylan gets up in front of the crowd and starts to give a speech to tell them it's going to be the last Winter Wonderland when Janie arrives just in time to tell everybody, thanks, we appreciate you here, and I'll see you next year. And then, finally, Janie finds some mistletoe and says to him, hey, how does this work? Kissy, kissy, best Winter Wonderland ever. Now look, this was your classic old-style Hallmark movie from back in the Bill Abbott days, of that. It's a solid story, solid characters. You had all the feelings of Christmas, Christmas miracles, and Christmas love. I mean, seeing how Janie was able to apply her city slicker advertising skills to the locals and helping them out, it was really a nice touch too as well. Now, Jill Wagner and Cameron Matheson really delivered in their roles. And while this wasn't a slam dunk instant classic, this was a home run for a Great American Family, and I'm putting this on my must-watch again list. Now, my number one movie this week was In Merry Measure, which aired Friday, 11/10 on the Hallmark Channel. Now, the movie opens, and we see Darcy, and she's a singer, and she's known for her 20-year-old hit, Sugar Rush. I mean, she's still living off that song. Anyway, her career on a downward path. She's lost her manager, her demos are being rejected, and so anyway, Darcy's heading back home to Dayton, Ohio after completing her Very Darcy Christmas show in New York City. And Darcy's sister, who has recently lost her husband and is in need of moral support, and Darcy's niece Megan, who's going to be trying out for the Angel Herald group, which is a vocal group that Darcy was also in back in her high school days. Darcy gets to town and heads off to the local coffee shop where she sees Adam, her old high school rival on the vocal team. Now, Dylan doesn't want to acknowledge her at all and, hides his face and all the other kind of stuff. And later that day, Darcy goes to see how the tryouts went, only to find a devastated Megan outside of the school. It seems that her audition was cut off early and she was cut from the team. Worse yet, Adam, who we find out is the head of the school's music program and 6-time defending champion of the carol competition, is the one who cut her. And Darcy thinks that Megan was cut because of her past with Adam. And she says that she could beat them with 3 decent singers and a chimpanzee, which gives her the idea of forming a second vocal group at the school. And the 2 teams are going to be forced to have a sing-off to see which team is going to represent the school at the carol competition. Now, at the first rehearsal, Darcy discovers why these 4 people were cut from Adam's vocal team. I mean, they're timid, they're shy, they're not great singers, all that. But hey, listen, this is Hallmark, and this is Christmas movies, and this is Christmas magic. And Darcy works her magic, and a couple of rehearsals later, boom, all of a sudden they can sing great. And they go, and to celebrate their ability to sing, they go off to the local pizza joint where Darcy has the group sing, and they kill it. Anyway, so while they're at the pizza place, a couple of the Herald Angels group guys were there, and they all decide that they ultimately want to combine the team with Adam and Darcy as co-coaches. Now, Freddie, who was one of the Herald Angels members that was there, and Megan decide to go out on a date. And when they get home from the date, Darcy and her sister bet on whether or not they kiss and spy out the window and everything else. Well, no kiss, but they get an awkward hug. Darcy gets a call from John Arnett of Cypress Records. They want to sign her, but the CEO is going to want her to audition in person at the label. And back at the school, we get this big training montage of them, and it's of the group all together, and they're doing things like bleacher walking, and they're doing bad running man dance moves, and all that kind of stuff, and they were doing circle stuff, and anyway, other weird things. It was fun to watch, okay? Adam takes Darcy out on a formal date. Now, Darcy is having panic attacks over what to wear for this date. And when she and her sister hear the doorbell ring, they do the, thing from Kevin in Home Alone. It is kind of very cute. Now, at dinner, Darcy kind of tells him, says, I love this line. Says, I like your hair, and I love your everything. And it kind of in this little weird kind of way. It was very cute, very perfect. Anyway, after dinner, Adam goes in for the kiss, but he's stopped short by Darcy. I mean, she's going back to New York. She doesn't want to get involved, and all that other stuff. Now listen, look, it's a kiss. It's not a marriage proposal. Just kiss the man, okay? Please, somebody, please tell her, just kiss the man. All right. So Darcy is called back to New York City early for the audition, which happens to be the same day of the competition. So she tells the Herald Angels that she's not going to be there. She heads out to the audition, and in her bag she finds a T-shirt that says co-coach for the Herald Angels. And when John arrives to get Darcy for the audition, we get this look from Darcy that makes you think, uh-oh, I'm not going to do that. So flashback to the competition, and the group is about to take the stage when Darcy arrives. The group slays their performance. It actually was really pretty good. But eventually she gets backstage where Darcy tells Adam that, hey, listen, she's been signed by the label, but she's going to do this on her own and do it her way. She's going to be staying in Dayton. That's where she's going to be based from, so on and so forth. Adam and Darcy smoochy. Woohoo! Everything's all keen and wonderful. All right, so listen, for a Friday Hallmark movie, this was one really shocked me at how great it was. I mean, the music was really good. There was great humor in the movie, and the storyline didn't feel like it was rushed. And what made it even better was the secondary cast. I mean, Adam's got this buddy who's the football coach, and he's hilarious. I mean, he reminded me of good old Coach Medlin from back in my high school days. Anyway, and then there's Darcy's sister, and she's very good as well. And I didn't care for her lonely storyline, but it was needed for the movie, and she did a good job of it. And they worked really good together as sisters, and very believable. Now, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, as I talked about earlier, is when they spied out the window what sees at the end of the date. I mean, I can remember when my wife and I spied on our daughter when she came home from her first date to see whether or not there was the kiss or not the kiss. So it took me back to those memories of my parenting. So, despite all the goodness, there still were a couple of moments. I mean, Adam says he always opens with "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" and wants to do something different. Well, what was the first song that they did? A beatbox version of "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." I mean, what the heck? I mean, come on. And then also, what in the world is a minty Christmas mega mint latte? I mean, what the heck is in that thing anyway? I mean, I guarantee you it doesn't compare to the Yule log latte, which is in one of my all-time favorite movies, Fur Crazy. Now, when Darcy and her sister and Megan all get together to make gingerbread houses, they all make gingerbread houses. That is a lot of gingerbread and frosting to make. So unless they had kits, somebody was up late making a whole lot of gingerbread. Now, this movie is definitely on my must-watch list, and it's probably in the running for my top 5 movies of the season. So be sure to set your DVR and watch this movie. Now, if this review has made you want to break out in song in a pizza joint or drink a Mega Mint latte, I say go for it. But if you've enjoyed my reviews, I need you to give me some thumbs up. And if you want to hear reviews of my other Christmas movies and other rom-coms, be sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to be notified of new video drops. Hey, I'm John, and thanks for watching the Real Man Rom-Com Review. Merry Christmas, everyone.